So I like this story. There's not a lot to it other than just a sign that a Republican who some people thought was moderately sane is instead decided to imitate the Soviet-era news agency TASS, or the Soviet newspaper Pravda. Indiana Governor Mike Pence, who looks like the presidential candidate from a shitty movie, is starting a state-run news agency that will have pre-written stories offered to hand out to news organizations. So it's going to be called, because it's Indiana, Just In, with the IN capitalized.
Yo, clever.
Yeah, so the news service will it says here, the new news service will sometimes offer stories about Pence's administration. Sure, will be entirely fair and balanced, considering they will have written them themselves. At times, though, Just In will break news, publishing information ahead of any other news outlet. Strategies for determining how and when to give priority to such exclusive coverage remains under discussion. Then continuing, just to give you an idea of who will be in charge of this, a governance board of communications directors will oversee the agency. The editorial board will be made up of Pence's communications team, and McCleary, who's his head of communications.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm glad they chose an impartial board.
Yeah. So, by the way, it says here, a big part of Just In's audience will be small news outlets in the state, like the Portland Commercial Appeal, that's in Indiana, and the publisher of that is a guy named Jack Ronald. He called it, because this is, again, for him, and he was like, oh, great, this is a ludicrous idea. That's a direct quote from him. Here's number 14. I have no problem, he says, with public information services. The Purdue University's Agriculture Extension Service does a great job. You were just saying that yesterday, Jack.
Yeah, I was.
But the notion of elected officials presenting material that will inevitably have a pro-administration point of view is antithetical to the idea of an independent press. No shit.
But to me, there's a sign of the times, because I think they got to the point where they're like, hey, listen, we write out this stuff, and they pretty much print it out for us anyway, right? The press does oftentimes. But sometimes they're a pain in our ass and tweak a couple of words after our press releases. So why don't we just skip the middleman and just go straight to doing the press ourselves?
Right, and
because in the I feel like even 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, like this would have been like, are you mental? Like it wouldn't, like
it wouldn't. But now it flies, man. I mean,
yeah, now it's just a reason if they're having a conversation about it.
And why not trick people so that when they go online for information about this, that instead of seeing from the office of Governor Mike Pence, which even to a fairly naive reader of news, they'll think, oh, well, this is just what the government says, and people we know distrust the government. No, let's disguise it. Let's camouflage it. Let's do what Fox News has been doing. Let's build a fake news organization. We just did a story on Joe Scarborough at MSNBC. We can't leave them out, right? So we'll build a fake news organization. Instead of coming from the governor's office, you'll think you're reading a news story. Our press releases, which we already write now, and which they sometimes print all of, sometimes they interpret it, which is the worst, right? Let's just put our press release and write it like a news article and create a website that seems like a real news organization like the AP, called Just In, a breaking Indiana news organization, and we'll just filter our news that way, and we will literally fool people. That's what they're trying to do, is fool people in Indiana.